So thank you everyone for coming tonight. It's 7:01 and I'm calling this meeting to order. So Karen, you are first up. Thank you for getting the minutes out. Has everyone had a chance to take a look?
I had nothing.
Nothing to add. Yeah.
I had no changes either. So if no one has any changes, we can perhaps sail this straight through. I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes as written.
So moved.
And a second?
I'll
Second.
second.
Good.
If I can.
Okay. So I think I learned last time from Matt, I need to do individual votes on these. So Hanny,
Yes.
Janet,
Aye.
Sharon,
Yes.
Karen,
Yes.
and Doug.
What was the vote? I missed. I got in just a second
Yeah,
ago.
this is a motion to approve the minutes as written.
Oh, I'll move, or I'll vote to say yes.
Okay, it's unanimous. Thank you all, and especially Karen, thank you for nailing it exactly.
It was a bit short this time, and sorry for the short notice.
It all works. No apologies needed. Okay, got a few things to update the group on. In no particular order, I think everyone has probably heard about the Alcott boiler issue. I believe we talked about it briefly last time. I invited the school committee to present to us exactly what the situation there is, sort of how this came to be, and they've agreed to come to a special CSEC meeting next Thursday night. So I apologize for another meeting on short notice at a very busy time. I tried to get them to come this week. However, it's school vacation week and people were not around. So it is important that we have a quorum. I did check around, and if everyone shows up the way they said they could, we will have a quorum. So during that meeting, basically, I'll ask the school committee to tell us, how they got to this point and what their analysis was in terms of why this cannot be done electrically. We may be in a position to address an amendment, a potential amendment to the CPS capital budget on this topic. So I'll send around more info as that becomes available this week. This is just basically a brief introduction to it as to what's going to happen next week. Separately,
one separate question, Jerry. Do you happen to know if the Climate Action Advisory Board deliberated on this or not? Like their meeting last night, I unfortunately was unable to attend.
Yes, I was there. They did discuss it. They felt they were not in a position to make any comments at this point. However, at least one member of CAB will attend our meeting next week. That's Michael McAteer. He said he will be there. There may be others.
Okay, thanks very much.
Sure. Okay, moving on. Another topic with Sharon. I'll let you explain David Berg's offer to tour his home.
Oh, so one of my neighbors, longtime Concord resident, I think he's been in the house built it over the past about 40 years. He's got a small farm, and he is he's an air quality engineer. He's done a lot of interesting things with hot rocks and super insulation. And so he is offering to, you've met Dave Berg. He presented to us on something about ventilation with one of the schools. Anyway, they're going to be moving, and he thought it would be a good opportunity before they leave, which I think they're scheduled to leave in early June. So we would need to probably select a date pretty soon if we want to take advantage. He's offered to offer a tour, to have us come and, maybe just our committee, or we could invite more. I mean, we tried having open houses for heat pumps and we didn't get any takers. So I don't know how widespread, the interest would be, but at least we could have committee members and any other interested parties come sort of tromp around his house and let him tell us what he's done.
So maybe the way to address this is I can put this on the agenda for Thursday night, next Thursday, so we could briefly figure out, the individual's interest here. And in preparation for that, Sharon, perhaps you could ask him what the options are, what times.
Right. What dates and times might work for him. Yep, I can do that.
Yeah. And then we can have something concrete to judge who could attend at such a time from our group next week.
Yep.
Just
Okay.
in relationship to that, I have a question.
Sure.
I was looking at emails that had come through, and I got an email from, or maybe you sent it to us, Jerry, from a guy named Mark Hanson.
Thank you, Doug. That's separate, but yeah, I was wondering if this might be a good time to bring that up as well. I think Amanda forwarded it to you and I, Doug.
Okay.
And I didn't notice it at the time. I just saw that recently and thought, oh, that's another thing. So what Doug's referring to is, Amanda, maybe you know more. This fellow Mark had reached out to us that he's done some talks on insulating and sealing up your home to reduce your heat load. It would have been a good fit with what we're doing this spring. I think it might be a little late to fit it in now. I don't know. I'd like to think about if there's a way we could.
Well, maybe what we could do. So Doug and I have been working on the Your Sustainable Home Now presentation. And it's a little light on weatherization at the moment.
Well, that would be a perfect place for it.
Yeah, that's what's just occurring to me. And also, that event is over a month away, so we have a little time to work on that.
And then at the heat pump forum, we can just put in a plug for it and say, and it's always a good idea to do this first to reduce how much your heat load. And we'll be talking about that more at this event on May 25th.
Right. Janet?
I believe he actually spoke to CSAC a few years back, maybe 3-4 years, I don't remember how far back, about his window inserts that he made. And Brad took the project to the high school and they made these window insulation inserts. And I don't know whether that is what he's talking about again, but it was quite a clever system, very simple, inexpensive. So I don't know whether it's that or whether he's got more things.
So I do know.
Brad, you had your hand up?
That was a project in the 8th grades that we did together, Mark and I. And he is a very good speaker on this topic. Even though he's not a professional on the topic, he knows the stuff and he can really convey it. So that would be a great addition to that program. Okay,
good. Doug, thanks for bringing that up.
Hey, Jerry, could I just cap off that conversation with,
Yes.
With the heat pump program, at least the way it's being presented with the new 3-year plan under Mass Save, weatherization is actually a component of that. So in other words, if you haven't done weatherization at your facility, or if you don't have some sort of documentation that you've looked at in the past couple of years, you may not actually qualify for heat pumps. So the state is really looking at doing both of those in tandem. So it's a pretty significant aspect of the heat pump program.
Okay. That's all good to know. That'll help us strengthen up our material for our event. Okay, I've got just a couple more things quickly to mention, and then we can move on to Amanda's director update. Yesterday morning was the monthly chairs, committee chairs meeting, and a couple interesting things to relate. There's a new newspaper in town starting up. It'll be called the Concord Bridge. And I believe, if I remember the dates, it's not expected to actually start publishing until the fall or at least late summer. So it's a little ways away, but apparently it's very much in an incubation stage and was reported as it will happen. So that's a good thing. Just want to remind everyone, town meeting will be held on Sunday, May 1st. And the expectation is that it will bleed over into Monday evening. There's at least one article of direct interest to this group, which we discussed last time, Article 38, and this committee voted to recommend positive action on this. There may be a second item. There may be an amendment to Article 19, the Concord School capital budget. This would be related to the boiler issue. So there is an amendment that has been drafted, but it's not, I think it's yet to be determined that this will actually be moved. So those are some things to keep in mind with town meeting coming up, because things are going to get awfully busy for us next week, and then town meeting occurs right after it. So we kind of need to keep our eyes on these things. Okay, that's it for my update. Amanda, I'm sure you've got lots of updates about kangaroos and wallabies and koala bears, such, and other things, of course.
Yeah, I think what I had put down in the agenda was we're coming up on a new contract cycle for our dashboard, the Sustainable Concord dashboard. And so I'm happy to kind of show and remind people what that looks like. Just quickly, I'll share my screen here. And I wanted to just put it out there for any feedback that people have on the site itself, like, I really wish it did this or that. And I could also pitch that to Kaylee, who owns the dashboard, but also any feedback from folks that if you feel like it's useful, do you not feel like it's useful? Again, what could make it more useful? And so this is the homepage. And on the homepage, you can explore the different topic areas as it relates to Sustainable Concord. In each of the different tiles, when you click in it, there's usually the goal and then different topic areas, and then different infographics or data related to Concord. And it can be updated. It's just a matter of, is that data available? And so I've sent over some new data for 2020 and it hasn't made it onto the site yet. But they'll be working through that. And then each page sort of goes through a storyline, and at the end, there's always a section on steps that you can take to contribute to this goal. And then on the action plan page, it's another way to explore the Sustainable Concord on a website rather than in a PDF. So if you click these down arrows, you can see all the action items related to this, and then you can click to see the blueprints. So it is a nice interactive format. It costs $4,500, so it's not an insignificant amount of money, but it also, could be moved around to help with other things that we may want to do. The support for the dashboard comes with the updates. So for example, the EV working group has written some blogs recently, and we were able to post those onto the web's page here, so that folks can read about driving electric in winter. And then they also provide 4 social media posts and graphic each month. And so it is helpful for me to get some of that support through KLA for updating this, but just wanted to check in and see what people thought. Because we have this website, I think we're going to be building up the Cooler Concord website, since CSEC's been starting to use that for the events and things like that. And then we have the regular page for the town's website, which has the sustainability department information. So I'll just sort of stop there and say open to feedback. I'm happy to take some comments tonight. And then if you have any additional comments that you want to send to me directly via email, can do that as well.
Amanda, I have a question.
Yes, Doug.
I'm just trying to, you loosely explained how it relates to the other main websites. Is this a new website or is it integrated into the existing Concord website pages? Or is it separate from that?
It's a separate URL. And so there are links to the dashboard site, the one that I just showed from the main page, but it's not directly like embedded into it. And so the functionality of the graphs and some of the different buttons and widgets are not things that we're able to do on the town's website.
Will some of the town website sustainability pages be removed as a result of building this new and have to be navigated to separately?
No, so if we were to stop the dashboard, it wouldn't impact the town's website at all. All of that information would stay there.
Including all the sustainability information that's already there?
That's on the town website. Yep, that would all remain. So the dashboard is completely separate.
Oh. Because there's a likelihood that there'll be some redundancy of what's on the new website and what's on the old website, right?
Yeah, and it's set up a bit differently. It's meant to mimic and really mirror what's in the plan, to say, this is our goal. These are the programs that currently exist, and these are the actions that you can take to contribute to that goal. Versus the website is sort of set up and there's like a section on sustainability in your home, sustainability in your business, sustainability in your transportation. So it's just set up slightly different. And a lot of the information is the same. And that's the other part of it, is upkeeping all of the different sites, and is the incremental advantage of having these additional sites and places for people to go helpful because people gravitate towards different ways of viewing things, or is it becoming confusing or, you know, causing extra work that isn't really getting us much benefit? I will say through the Google Analytics, each month we typically have 100 new users to the site. So we do know people are going there. But I unfortunately don't have that information for like the town's website.
I think that from what I can see of the new website, it looks like an impressive effort to consolidate the information according to the plan. The only thing I would be a little bit worried about is the enhanced confusion of the new website mixed with the old website and the confusion that could cause.
I would concur with that. I'll just add my 2 cents. That would be one of my concerns also. In the scant 6 months that I've been here, what I've heard, one theme I've heard is that it is confusing navigating through the numerous websites. So I'll just throw that in as concurring with your concern, Doug.
I would
So
say that the confusion comes really from the Concord website because it's impossible to find anything in there, frankly. You do a search, you get something for 2016 at the top, right? I mean, how relevant is that? That's an easy fix, but it's impossible to fix, it seems, because of the underlying technology they have.
So this is a bigger topic on its own. I'd like to take one more comment from Janet, who has her hand up now. I'd like to wrap this up. Janet?
Well, Amanda partly answered it, but I was just wondering how many people actually make use of the site. I mean, Amanda said the 100 new users, but that's a fairly small proportion of Concord residents. And so how often do people come back? How useful does it appear to be in terms of numbers of people visiting the site?
So Amanda, I guess the question I have here is, how do you want to proceed to get feedback? And what is your time frame on this? Because we could have, I certainly don't want to do it tonight, our agenda is full, but a subsequent meeting, we could devote a fair amount of time to this, or we could offline send you feedback. I guess the question is, how would you like to receive that?
I'm happy to receive it on via email, if that makes the most sense. I think as sort of the engagement committee, it feels like I also want our websites to be useful to this committee. And so if you all sort of see a use case for the website, that would be helpful for me to know. I think generally speaking, I haven't heard a ton of strong indications to keep it or to remove it from most people that I've spoken to. And so to me, that's sort of where the consensus is it's great. And if we keep it, great. And if we get rid of it, great. And so I'm happy to also just sit down and map out on my own of where our use is coming, how can we improve things and make a decision. So it doesn't necessarily need to be a topic at a next meeting unless the group feels strongly, but I don't know that I'm picking that up. But correct me if I'm wrong.
Well, what I'm inclined to suggest is that we each individually send you our feedback, and individually we can make that as detailed or as abstract as we would like. So that's my suggestion, but just a quick check on the pulse. Anyone have any issues with that, or anyone feel strongly that we need to have a beat the heck out of it session collectively? Okay, so not hearing any feedback to that one way or the other. Let's all individually send Amanda our feedback, our concerns, and particularly suggestions if we can have some specific ideas. It's easy to critique. It's harder to make decisions, and it's useful to have specific ideas on the table. So
what sort of time frame are you looking for, Amanda?
Yeah, right. Good question.
I'm muted.
I know next week is going to be really busy for everyone. So maybe we could say in the next 2 to 3 weeks. And then that will set me up that if we have any final questions, or if I have any questions for the group, I will have received everything by the next meeting.
Okay, good.
Is it possible to get to the URL of the new draft website that you were showing so you could look at it in more detail?
Yeah, so it has been up for the last year. So maybe even longer, but definitely for a year, I think. And it's just sustainableconcord.org.
Okay.
And you're saying it's $4,000 just to do the content, not the hosting is hosted, that's included as part of it, right?
Nope, the hosting, the social media posts, the graphics each month, updating the website, all of that is included.
Okay. Oh, Sharon?
So I was trying to find it while you were talking, and I got to sustainableconcord.org action plan, but there was a particular picture that had that you had shown, and I couldn't find that. So that left me wondering if I really am at the right website. There was a picture of the EVs charging with snow on them at the Harvey Wheeler parking lot.
It would be under blogs at the upper right hand.
Ah, yep. didn't
And
look
then,
there.
okay.
Okay.
So one last comment that I'll make, and then we should move on to try and stay on track time-wise. To me, this is one of the issues with that website, is it's not intuitive to get to the data. Once you get to the data, I think the data is good. I like the presentation of it for the most part. I have some concerns there too, but getting to it is non-trivial. But I'll provide that to you in an email. And I would encourage everyone else to do the same.
We'll do a test, Jerry. See if you can find the data on the Concord website.
Okay. All right. Next up, we'll go through each of our events, or at least the first three. And the goal here is to make sure that we're all in sync on final preparations for the events, starting with the keynote address by Carrie Emanuel. Janet, you want to tell everyone where we are?
Sure. Well, first of all, I want to say that you and Brad and Mark Foley met at the Harvey Wheeler to discuss logistics, and I was not able to be there at that time. So maybe better if you spoke to that,
Okay.
one of you.
Yeah, I'll speak to that. Mark is here in this meeting. So Mark, correct me if I get anything wrong here. It was Mark and another fellow Mark works with, and me, and I think there was someone else. I'm forgetting who else. But we talked about room layout, some mechanics of how we would do things. We tested the projectors, tested the projector that's wired into the room. We also tested Brad's. And as I recall, Mark, we have a slight preference for Brad's.
Correct. Yeah, it was definitely better.
We also tested projecting onto the screen versus the wall. And I think the wall was better.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, I'm 2 for 2 so far. And we also discussed, and this is where I'm a little less clear, we discussed the number of microphones, and that I think we settled on having one microphone off to the side. And on the stage, there would be a table where Janet, Delphine, the Sunrise student, and Amanda would sit, and whoever is moderating at a particular point in time, whether that's Janet or Delphine, they'll be standing on the raised stage. What have I missed, Mark?
So we'll be filming from the back of the room the questions into the Zoom meeting. The keynote speaker will be on the screen speaking. I did test, was it this one? No, there was another one. I think the recording will have to be done within Zoom so that we get all sides of the conversation. So it's not recorded by my camera, it's recorded by Zoom. And this is Wednesday, correct?
Yes.
All right, good. I've been listening. And we have special dispensation to be in there about 5 o'clock.
Correct.
I'm going to be bringing a couple lights to make sure that we can actually use video cameras in there. And we go set up at 5, be ready by 7. And what is it, like 9:30, 10 o'clock we'll be done?
Oh, yeah, we should be done certainly by then. Janet's going to check with Professor Emanuel to see how long he thinks he'll speak, but we seem to recall that 45 minutes was what he was targeting. And we're figuring 15, 20 minutes of Q&A after that, and then some time for attendees to mill around and talk to CSEC members after that. So I would imagine we're out of there by 9:30 at the latest.
That's fine. Okay. Yep. And when you said earlier, you said there's a couple events going on. You've invited Minuteman Media to only one, correct?
Correct.
Okay. All right. Just checking, because I was like, what? More?
No, we got more if you want more.
So far.
Would have been fine. I just wasn't aware of it. So,
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, and if it's recorded on Zoom, how does that get onto the Minuteman Media network?
Whoever's in charge of that Zoom account, and if you got it from Chris, then someone would have to ask Chris to forward the link to me or to Minuteman.
Okay, I think Amanda is taking care of
Yeah,
that.
so it's on my Zoom account, and so I'll get a link and then I forward it to Mark and his team. And so I'll be there as the Zoom manager, and I'll have my computer, and then I can hit record and then do different spotlights so that we have like the full screen. And then I can also watch the people raising their hands and make sure unmute and mute people as needed. So I'll sort of be taking on the Zoom manager role for the night.
Oh,
And
it's gonna be
when you're
people
doing it,
in the room,
Sorry.
right?
Oh.
Sorry, go ahead, Mark.
no, what other question? Go ahead. I'll wait.
I thought, how are you gonna handle the people at Harvey Wheeler with questions and record them on Zoom? How are you gonna do that?
We're going to have 2 cameras in the room, one facing the stage, and one facing the audience. And we'll have a microphone in the audience that they'll walk up to and ask questions, just like they're at any other town meeting.
And that will be recorded on the Zoom meeting?
Correct. Yes,
Oh,
we will be switching back and forth between the 2 cameras. Cameras are connected through a device into
Okay.
a computer, and that provides the video feed.
Okay, great.
What was my question? Amanda, are you going to be comfortable with the wireless for your computer for doing that function?
Yeah, I think so. Like not hooking into a cable for the internet.
Yeah. I'm just wondering if you're, depending on where you are, whether you've tested I'm assuming they have good Wi-Fi there. I don't know.
I was there on election day and I played around with it. It's pretty good.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it should be okay. If I need to go across the street to 55 Church Street and plug in and be the Zoom manager from across the parking lot, I can always do that.
Well, I'm just mentioning it because I bring a switch with me for the internet, and if I'm plugged in wired, I could just offer you a plug in there too. But you'd have to sit without trip hazards all over the place. You have to sit near the back, so that's up to you.
Okay, yeah, I don't mind sitting in the back, and then that sounds like the safer decision to make sure it's all connected.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Safer minus the trip hazards, but
Right.
hopefully.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. All right. Great.
I think that will work. So we're ready to move on to what I have to say, I think.
Well,
So-
one other thing, before I forget it in my mind. Amanda, I think last time we talked about whether we would accept questions through chat or through raised hands. Do you
Yeah,
have,
so I think will just do the raised hands so that it's easy to then just switch to the person asking the question so that the people in the actual room can see the questions or hear the questions that are coming in, and they won't be losing out on all of the dialogue that's in the chat. So kind of keeping all of the dialogue in the room rather than having it in the chat.
okay, so let me just talk this through then. So someone raises their hand, you as the Zoom manager recognizes that, and you'll need to communicate to Delphine that that's the next question. That's one.
Yeah, so I think the plan is that Janet and Delphine are also going to have a computer so they can see who's raising their hand. And then they plan to go back and forth between the questions in the room and the questions on the screen.
I think Delphine can say, can see the raised hand and say, next question is coming from, whatever name, and then you can unmute that person. Will that work, Amanda?
Yep, that works.
Okay, so that means if Delphine is standing, we'll need to have a podium for her on which she can have her laptop and see the attendees and see the raised hands. Or if she's not standing, if she's seated while this is underway, then she could have her laptop there. But one or the other, we need to set up one of those.
Yeah, well, I'm planning to have my laptop there, but I expect to be sitting at the table during questions.
Right. Okay. Does anyone know if there's a podium available at Harvey Wheeler?
Yeah.
There is? Okay, good. Okay, Jan, I didn't mean to cut you off.
That's okay, don't worry. I just wanted to say that Jerry, Delphine, and I met on Zoom this afternoon to talk about logistics and what we were actually going to be saying. And I suggested that right at the beginning, before Carrie's presentation, we have up on the screen something about the sustainability series. And then that could change to the picture of Carrie, maybe. I don't think we didn't actually talk about changing the picture, but to have the sustainability series up on the screen to begin with would be good. And I'm going to give a brief welcome, basically saying this is Carrie's presentation. This is this is the first of the 5 events.
6.
And I mean, I wrote it all out, but you don't need to hear it all. But it's going to be 1.5 to 2 minutes long, saying, we're doing this in coordination with other groups such as Mothers Out Front and the Sunrise Hub and et cetera, et cetera. And then I will hand it over to Delphine, who will be introducing Carrie.
So one thing that I wanted to bring up concerns the end of the presentation, the end of Q&A. Janet and Delphine and I talked about how they sort of close it up, but I think it would be good to have a CSEC table in the back or near the entrance, so that people can come and talk to us about things they can do. I'm hoping that the presentation will inspire people and they'll be thinking they want to learn more, particularly about what they can do, and that we would be there to support that. So we could physically having a table is no big deal. There's obviously tables at Harvey Wheeler. I think the questions are who will be assigned to the table, and if also, I think we should have a sign that said, here we are CSEC, come talk to us, or something like that. And what could we have materially for attendees? One thought there is printouts of the sustainability series upcoming events, so that they can see that right away, or at a minimum, they can check the QR code so that they can get more information on their phone. Questions or comments on that?
QR codes, there are going to be some people there who don't have their phone or don't really understand QR codes. So I think to have flyers there to take, piece of paper to take home is good, even if some people use the QR code.
Yeah, I agree. I think we want to support both.
But I think we did a number of tabling events a couple of years ago, and I don't know if Amanda knows where it is, but Kate had a box that we carried for the tabling events that has like a little banner and number of little stands like you would have, for a menu on that to put things in, and a rock to hold stuff down. But anyway, we did like a dozen of them that year. So I don't know if Amanda can find that box, but
I haven't seen a banner yet. What does the banner look like?
It was like a blue tablecloth
it was like a tablecloth. But there was a box, like a file box size box.
The plastic, clear plastic box, storage box.
I'll have to look around. I did have a clear storage box, but it didn't have any of those things in it. So I can go to town hall and see if there's anything in the basement that might have it.
Brad, do you have your hand up?
Just going to suggest having a stack of those Your Sustainable Future Home Now brochures in order to promote that event.
Yeah.
I also have the big Cooler Concord Festival banner, the fair banner we made 5 years ago, which could sort of promote the festival, that we could bring in, set up in the back somewhere.
The brochures, Laura created a brochure for the event. It's a one-pager, says it's on the 30th, and you might want to hand those out too.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Actually, I think having all three would be good. But that brings up a separate issue, and that is, as far as I know, we only have about 50 total Your Sustainable Home Now brochures. And Laura has already asked for some of those, and I've said yes. Maybe we can make do with 50.
What I was thinking, if we're over the number of pamphlets that we have that are large size, there's a one-page flyer that is print-outable on two sides. It's the same one that's on the registration page. But if we had some printed out of those, that would be good.
Right. We could do that.
Well, surely 50 will be enough, at least for the first event.
Yeah.
And if we're substantially depleted, you can make more then.
Yeah, I think maybe that's the way to go. 50 will be more than enough for this first event. I'm mostly concerned with making sure we have enough for the climate festival and for Laura.
Yeah.
Who has the PDF or whatever it is that to be printed? I mean, is that
It's
something?
it's in the Cooler Concord website in the same page area that you register for the seminar. For the work.
No, it's not.
It isn't?
Why would it be there?
I believe it is.
Yeah, I think
think-
I think it was put there.
It was put
Annie
there.
put it there.
Okay.
Go ahead, Brad. Then I want to move
I
on.
thought you were asking about the graphics file from which more pamphlets could be made.
Oh,
That I
No,
didn't-
that's
That's what I
different.
was
That
talking
is different.
yeah. So, in the interest of time, because last meeting I didn't control the time very well. I want to try and keep us on track. Are there any other comments or questions or concerns about the keynote event? that we
Is there
should
going to
address
be,
here?
is there going to be any beverages there or any food of any kind, or is it completely without that? Or
It's complete-
water?
It's completely without that. Water be provided through the drinking fountain.
Okay.
Sharon, you had your hand
Well,
raised?
it's really soon. If we're going to have a table and we're going to have people at the table, we probably need
Oh, yes,
volunteers.
right. Okay, so Karen has volunteered. Anyone else? I'm happy to do it. I'll be there.
I'm happy to do it.
Yep, likewise.
Okay,
I can join in that. I don't want to,
All right,
There-
sounds like we have plenty.
don't want it to be too crowded though, so I take no umbrage.
well,
You've
there's,
got enough already.
It's all right. We could
Here's-
mill around.
yeah, here's what I suggest. First of all, I think it would be great for each of us to attend as many of these events as we can. The first one is perhaps the most significant. But we'll need tabling people for each of the events. So why don't, just to be clear, why don't we say for sure, Karen, you and Doug are signed up for this event, and then we'll do the same on the other events. Okay,
I have
next-
a couple more logistical things.
Yeah.
Do you need people to come early to set up? Or do you have that handled? Do you need people to clean up?
that's a great question. Yeah, it would be good if at least one other person would come early. I will be there early.
I will come at 5:30 or so. Or
Okay.
5, if you need to.
We will need to put the chairs out.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll come early.
Okay, so Doug, you and I'll do setup. Anything else before we move to Arbor Day? Okay. Next event, 2 days later, Friday
This
morning.
is Mark. I think I'm leaving right now. I'm good. I'll see you people next Wednesday.
Okay, Mark, if anything comes up or, any other late breaking concerns, just give me a holler, or Amanda, but I'll see you there 5 o'clock on Wednesday.
All right, great. All right, thanks
Thank you for
everyone.
coming.
Yep,
Thank
no
you.
problem. Bye-bye.
Okay, Arbor Day. Amanda, you want to give us a brief on status?
Yeah, so I think everything is all set. So this is kind of the plan for the day. We've got a materials list here and some of the things that I'm bringing. Sandra, who's from the garden club, is going to bring some stuff, and then Public Works is also going to be in attendance and helping out with the event. So it starts at 10, so we're going to get there at 9:30. I asked the garden club about having a rain date, and they haven't had one in previous years. And since we also have the festival the next day, I sort of agreed that we didn't really need a rain date for this one. But at any rate, we'll decide if we need to do that by noon on the previous day. And then sort of the run of event for the day is that there will be a welcome by the garden club. And then I'll speak to how we are pursuing the Tree City USA application to become a Tree City, what that means for the town, and then also linking how planting trees and health of our ecosystems to climate action and to sustainable Concord. Henry Dane is going to come and read the Arbor Day Proclamation. He has also requested to have a student come and read a poem. And so I think after the proclamation, a student will also do a reading. And then we will have a dedication of the tree, probably take some photos with Public Works and the Garden Club. And then we're going to have an invitation to the audience to speak to why trees are important to them. Di Clymer from the library is already plans to come to the event, and I've spoken to her, and she's going to kick that off and be an audience member to get us started, because they have some plans to do some plantings at the Fowler Library. But this will also be a time for people to grab a seedling. I have a map where people can mark where they plan to plant their seedling. And this mirrors the activity that will be at both of the library locations. And I've worked with the librarians at both locations to get their Arbor Day installations ready, which will also be used at the event on the 30th. And then we'll just have some time for network and mingling, coffee and refreshments. And then we'll end at the end of the hour around 11 o'clock. So I think we should be pretty good to go, but happy to answer any questions. I guess the last thing that isn't on here is preparing the seedlings. I am going to do that Thursday afternoon with 3 students from the green team. I think Priscilla might join, and then the 2 librarians that I've been working with, I think will also come to join. So we've got a good group to put that together on Thursday afternoon.
I know this is a redundant question. What's the location again of the Arbor Day celebration?
It's the Bruce Freeman Rail Trail parking lot, and I think the address is 407 Commonwealth Ave.
It's right. It's across the street from the prison.
It's on the website. It's on the event information.
Right, right.
Yeah, it's there. That's correct. I was just checking it.
The Amanda, is there an opportunity for us to have a table there?
Yeah, so I actually Sandra's bringing a table, and I was going to bring a backup table. So if there are some things that we want to put out, I am going to bring the tree guide that was completed. I don't know when it was completed, maybe last year too. I have the folded kind, and then I have it unfolded because it has this really, it looks like a pretty cool poster if you have it on one side. And so I'll have both types there. And so if we wanted more information, I can certainly put more things out.
Well, what I'd like to do is use that event to publicize the Climate Festival and our other upcoming events. So kind of like what we just discussed at the tail end of the keynote, I want to do the same thing, have 1 or 2 CSEC people there, have some materials to introduce folks to CSEC and these well, just like what we said for the keynote, for after the keynote. So if you're bringing the tables, then it sounds like the only other thing we need are the materials. Well, 2 things. If we can find the banner, I think it's if you can find the banner. If you can find that box of materials, then that we can set up the table that way. And then promotional materials, we would have the flyer for the sustainability series. Depending on how many your Sustainable Home Now folders we give or pamphlets we give out on Wednesday, we could have some there. So kind of like the same thing, just a replay. So I think the only, since you're bringing the tables, actually the question is who's going to print out the flyers? Can you print some more, Amanda?
Yeah, and I think there's more in the box still, the last time I looked in
Okay.
there, so we may have some already.
Okay, well, as long as we have some to hand out. So then I think the only operative question left is who will who will table there. And I'm happy to sign up to be one of the
I could
table.
do that.
Okay, great. And then I guess, Janet, you and I will also, not that there's much setup, but set up and take down what little there is, we can take care of that.
Sure. So we
Great.
yeah, come at 9:30.
Yeah, right.
I think
Okay.
if you, if CSEC also would like to say a few words, you know, Jerry and Jenna, if you just want to email me, because I'm happy to talk about how trees relate to climate action, but I'm also happy for that to come from a CSEC member. So just let me know if that feels like something you're drawn to.
I can tell you right now, it would be good to have some comments about CSEC and particularly the whole series we're doing, but I don't feel a need to deliver those. If you can do that, you're already up there. That speaking, Amanda, that may be the simplest.
Okay, great. Sounds good. Thank you.
Anybody else? Any other comments, questions, suggestions for Arbor Day? Okay. Next up, the Climate Festival and our special guest, Laura. So, Laura, how's it going?
Going well. Amanda, I did end up being free tonight, so I figured I'd pop on. I had told
Excellent.
Amanda that I was going to let her do this. So feel free to jump in at any point if I miss anything. So the festival planning is going well. We are going to have our festival on Saturday, April 30th. As you all know, our rain date is May 7th. May we not have to use it. Knocking on wood there. The festival's from 10 to 2. We have a very long lineup of people who are signed up to help. We're working with the Sunrise Movement, the Green Team, Mothers Out Front, Concord Can, the Pollinator Health Advisory Committee. I'm still waiting on confirmation from the League of Women Voters. The Ag Committee is coming. Concord Bikes, Mass Bikes is bringing a bike valet for us. We've got a lot of fun things lined up for this festival. I think we're ordering about 30 tables. So we've got a lot of people coming to this festival, which is really exciting. It'll be on the main library lawn. We've tried to encourage everybody who's participating in this festival to make it as interactive as possible. So not just leaflets and brochures on a table. The Sunrise Movement is going to do some kind of a voting game. The Green Team is putting together a pollinator art project and a compost waste sorting game. Mothers Out Front is pending health board approval, going to be making chocolate dipped strawberries and doing craft projects about sustainable homes with children. There's a dollhouse that kids can play with. We're going to have an art walk with art from kids and students. And we have some people coming to do bike tune-ups. So bring your bicycle because you can get your bike tuned up by one of the bike mechanics from the Bike Connector, which is a nonprofit in the Lowell area, who's going to be joining us. So it sounds like it's going to be a really fun activity. The kids from the high school have been so much fun to work with, and they've been so enthusiastic about it. And they're going to be postering their whole school next week and getting their friends to come to it. We have because we have so many different groups involved, there's been a lot of email traffic about it already. I don't know what the RSVP numbers are. I feel like for a public festival, we probably shouldn't trust the RSVP numbers to be a very accurate reflection of how many people will show up, but hopefully some people will be using that function. And the kids designed a fantastic poster. So I do hope that you'll print off the poster and have it at the Carrie Emanuel Festival, because the poster is very fun. And there's some fun social media stuff happening. I saw Amanda's post today, which looked great. And the big thing that I'm here to say is that we could use all of you as volunteers. We have many activity stations that are focused on different climate activities. We've tried to group things into kind of these thematically connected climate action booths. So if your passions lie in trees and landscapes, we have activities you can plug into there. If you're more into clean energy and home energy retrofits, we've got activities for you to plug into there. There's definitely lots of volunteer need. We can also use, if you have only an hour or two, we could use help with setup and cleanup as well. I have a handy dandy volunteer form, which I can share with you all by email, because I forgot that there's no chat function in the town Zooms. So I will have to email it to you guys afterwards. But if you can fill it out with your information and when you would like to come, and you can pick an activity station, or if you just want to be put wherever, you can put that in the notes as well. And if you know any friends, family, spouses who you can conscript into helping with the festival or coming to the festival, I hope you'll help. You can send this form to other people. So that's my little spiel. Happy to answer questions.
Mark Scribner asked me to bring my electric vehicle, and you didn't mention that. I just want to make sure he coordinated that with you if you still want it.
Yes, coordinate with Mark about that. We have parking spaces blocked off for several electric vehicles, so we can have a little bit of a show and tell area. So Janet, we would love both you and your car to be there. So if you can fill out the volunteer form and connect with Mark directly about the car.
Mark has expected me to be there. So I've already connected with Mark. I don't know how many spaces do you have for electric cars to park?
That's a good question.
So
for Amanda.
I talked to Ray actually, Janet. I think Mark's going to be on vacation that weekend, and so Ray's going to be at that event. And when I spoke to him earlier this week, he just asked me to block off 2 spaces. We are going to end up blocking off 5, and they're going to be along Main Street here. I've asked that these first 3 be left open because they're dropping the tables off that morning and then picking them up that day. And there's not a great place for that truck to come in and do that. And so this is kind of going to be an loading location for the day, the first 3. And then the next 2 is where I was thinking we would park the vehicles, because the transportation area is kind of here and the bike valet will be up here. So that all kind of fits together.
Okay, thank you.
And if you do live within biking distance of Concord Center, I really do hope you'll bring your bike, because if we have an empty bike valet, it will be a sad sight. So we definitely want people to ride their bikes.
Can't do both.
That was not to you, Janet. That was to everyone else. Janet should drive her car and everyone else should bike.
Janet, I could also see if I could get the sustainability car if you just want to bike on, and then you won't have to do
We've
both.
been known to put the bikes in the car and drive to town and then bike around.
I mean, I think you have a Leaf, and there aren't so many of those. So mine's a 2022 Bolt, which may be a better car to have, but I'm not quite sure what the second car is going to be. I know when I was talking to Mark, he was trying to get a Tesla, and I don't know whether he lined anybody up to bring one. I don't know what the second vehicle is. So the second vehicle could well be the town sustainability vehicle. So
I believe it will be a Tesla. I think we have 2 candidates who are interested, who I have to confirm, but we do have some interested Tesla owners.
Okay, that's good.
Great.
One question I have, Laura, is how can we promote the rest of the sustainability series during the Climate Fest?
That's a great question. So I don't have a table. We don't have a table for CSEC at the festival, but there are plenty of places to put things, plenty of booths where we can put information. So if you have a handout with the full sustainability series on there, or, want to display some kind of a poster. Amanda, that might be a good use for one of the signboards that we talked about. We talked about putting a couple of A-frames around the festival, so we could put one of the A-frames with the sustainability series on that. Would that satisfy that need, do you think?
Yeah, so I could grab either the one from the bank or one from the bank would be easier. And then I have a poster that I would actually be putting at the bank anyway, probably that day or the next day, that will just be the last 3 events. So it does have a little bit of a different look to it. And we could either put that out, but since the last 3 events are also related to initiatives that CMLP is working on, like driving electric and then, electrifying your home, they will have 2 tables there. So they'll have the EV working group will have a table, and then Jan's going to have a table for like with the heat pump coaches, I think. So we could also put that information with one of those 2 tables or both. That feels like a natural fit.
Yeah, that does feel like a natural fit. And particularly if you can move the A-frame over, then the combination of those, I think would do the trick as far as I'm concerned. So it sounds like we have a plan.
Are you going to use a different flyer, Amanda, at that than the one that has all the events on it?
I can use the poster that I've gotten printed for the A-frame. It's the same exact poster, except that it only has the last 3 events on it.
Oh,
And 2 colors are flipped so that people can see that it's a new sign, and just don't ignore it thinking it's the same one. So I could print that off instead.
And you don't have event specific posters for those last 3 events?
No, we don't.
No worries. If there was a way to make something very simple, some kind of explanation, maybe even just printing out the page from the Cooler Concord website and putting it in a table tent at the appropriate table related to the topic. I think that might be the best way to grab people's attention, because if I was a person who was talking to a heat pump coach, I would see, oh, there's an event coming up about this. I can go and learn more there. So I think if there's any way to kind of highlight the topics, that would probably be great.
Laura, one of the things we talked about that was going to be on the tabling page for your Sustainable Home Now presentation is the brochure itself, which is printable. It's in a PDF that's accessible on the registration website. And if you got those and printed those, Amanda, and had a stack of them, that would suffice probably.
And you're talking about the trifolds that fold out into a big piece?
Well, the trifold is the big one. There's one that's a 2-sider that's a PDF that is on the website. It's not the full up printed version, but it's a very good version of the poster.
Which website?
The one that you set up.
Cooler Concord.
There's no PDF there.
Well, what is it's a link to the PDF then.
Oh yeah, inside the event description, there's a link to the PDF. Yeah, okay. At least one of them has that. Yeah.
Right, that's the one.
Yeah.
That's the one. But that could be used as that flyer for that event. Do you know how to get to that?
Yeah, from the website.
Yeah, it's right at the website. Okay.
Yeah, fortunately, I'm looking at the PDF now. It is the same as that larger trifold, and I do have a short stack of those, and we will have a display all about your Sustainable Home Now.
Okay.
We have a very fun little activity that I can show you guys, but we'll be asking people to come and decorate their sustainable home that has an EV charger. There's even a hot water heater in the corner that you can't see on Zoom. There's an induction stove. There's a little mini split inside. So people can decorate these and glue them together and really like drive the message home. They can either leave them and we'll make a little eco village, or people can bring them home and use them as a reminder of what they need to do in their house.
Sounds great.
That's great.
Okay, we've got more items to cover. Anything else on the Climate Fest? Questions, comments, suggestions? If not, I'll ask you, Laurie, are we set?
Yeah, what I'm going to do is I'm going to email maybe just Jerry and Amanda the email that I've sent to all the people who are involved in the festival. It'll give you the volunteer form, the description of the festival, and I'll maybe stick a few more things in there for CSEC members. So if you guys can sign up for a volunteer shift and share the event description and the poster with your networks, that would be great. And that's all that I have. So thank you
Laura,
guys so much.
One more question. I saw an invitation to a planning meeting that's on Tuesday next week. Is that in the morning or in the evening?
It is in the evening, trying to accommodate the student schedules. Yeah, so obviously all of you can't come because of town meeting law, but if a few of you would like to come to the planning meeting on Tuesday evening, it's going to be pretty much an overview of where, you know, what's gonna happen on Saturday, and any pertinent updates from our booth organizers. So that'll be from 7 to 8 next Tuesday night, and you guys
They can all show up. They just can't talk about it.
Okay, then you can't.
Yeah.
You just can't talk to each other. So I'll just keep you muted.
All right.
Thanks, Matt.
Yeah, thanks, Matt. And especially thank you, Laura. These sound like fantastic plans. I can't wait.
You guys all have to come. So that's I'll see you guys. Thank you so much.
Yep. I'll be there. Okay. So we have 3 more events, but I'm not expecting to go into as much detail of those on those right now. But I do want to just kind of go around the table, metaphorical table, real quickly to see how things are proceeding with the plans for each of those 3. And so I'll start with the first one, which is the heat pumps event. Sharon, how are things going for that?
I think it's going reasonably well. I have emailed, Mike is going to see about getting a National Grid person for us there. I've talked to Jan, CMLP is going to have a table. She'll have heat pump coaches there. There was a question, I don't have a good answer. Maybe you can answer this. I've held off on inviting any vendors because I'm not sure if that is allowed, because we're, as a town group, we're not allowed to show favoritism, or if we invite everybody we can think of, but only a few show up, maybe that would be okay. Or I don't know. I feel a little stuck there, not quite knowing what to do. So I could use some guidance there. Also, we wanted to, I think we'll need volunteers for setup and cleanup, and somebody to staff the table, staff a CSEC table. And I wanted to, you said that we would talk later, and later is getting here, about, do we want to offer this available on Zoom? Do we want to have Minuteman there? And it's getting time to decide that.
Yeah. So let's tackle the first question first, about vendors. So I'm not sure myself. So I'm going to defer that question to some combination of Amanda, Brad, and Matt. Brad, did I see your hand up? Or
yeah,
you put it down pretty quickly.
So we've had vendors in the past and been a little bit loose about it, but very much made it clear that these vendors are speaking informationally. You could choose to use them, or you can choose to use one of many others, and we shared other names, but that we weren't recommending them. if you were to ask some lawyers, they might have trouble with that, but it's a way of getting people to talk to real people who offer the equipment. And as long as they get multiple quotes, they're not really showing much favoritism.
So unfortunately, it looks like we just lost Sharon. She dropped off. But while we wait for her to come back, Matt, do you have any guidance for us here?
I don't know the answer on this one. You know, it doesn't, we're not making contracts. They're not there selling, but on the other hand, I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I know, you know, they were at the Cooler Concord fair a few years back. Vendors were at the Sustainable Landscaping Fair.
Could Mothers Out
I
Front
don't
invite
think they
them?
were soliciting business. I mean, I think if you try and tell them that they're, you know, and whether you can tell them not to hand out their business cards or something like that, or whether just, I don't know. All I know
Yes,
is
I'm
that they've been there in the past and nobody's complained.
Right.
I'm wondering if it would be helpful if Sharon asked Janice Seti to help outreach to people, because their abode has a preferred contract list.
Yeah.
And you have to use that list when you get your heat pump. And maybe she has a listserv of all of them already. I don't know. And if we were aiming to invite the full group, I mean, if she already had that listserv, even if you invited the whole group, you may only get a handful. So that might be one way to do it.
So that sounds pretty reasonable to me. So what I'm hearing, two things. The first thing is, we've done it in the past. There haven't been any problems. No one has complained. And number two, if we go through Janice Seti and ask for recommendations or pointers to folks that Abode is working with, we ought to be on pretty safe ground for both reasons.
Right.
So that's what I'll pass along to Sharon when she comes back online, or if for some reason she can't come back online tonight, I'll pass that to her directly.
Jerry, I'll just say that if you can get, if we can get past the legal aspect of it, it would be, it's a great source of information, like Brad was saying, to have the actual installers there, because they'll be able to answer the tough questions on schedule and cost, and I think everything people want to hear about.
Well, I think we've got a plan here, in the sense that we'll try and have some of them there, based on the, I wouldn't say approval, but the rationale that we presented. I'll claim it to be a reasonable rationale. As for Sharon's question about recording the event, I'm thinking, if she's okay with this, that we see how things go with the Carrie Emanuel event. And if that goes smoothly, we plan to do it for the heat pump event. Yeah. Once we get past the keynote, then Mark from Minuteman Network, he'll know what to do. He will have been through it already. It should be an easy thing. By the way, he's been very easy to work with so far. So I don't really see any issues there, assuming he's not already booked. So that's what I'll communicate to Sharon as well. Anything else on heat pump event? Okay.
I think I would just maybe
we need
say to
tabling
Sharon too, that if we are going to do it, we probably would need to get on Mark's calendar pretty quickly, because I've just heard that they are getting booked up really fast. And then I don't know, I know for the keynote, we had to book Harvey Wheeler for the longer hours when we went virtual. And so that would just be the other piece we probably would want to do fairly like immediately.
Okay, good point. I'll talk to Sharon specifically about deciding.
I'll be one of the supporters for the CSEC table.
Fantastic. Can I count on you for setup as well? Shouldn't be, it basically involves putting chairs in place in Harvey Wheeler.
Yeah, I'm all in for the heat pump event. So whatever
Great.
you need done, you can help out with.
Anyone else want to help out at the heat pump event?
I'm going to certainly be there.
I'll be there as well. I'll be there.
Okay, all right.
I'll be there, but
Yeah, I'll be there too.
By the
But
way, I don't know if anyone has looked at heat pump supplies. I talked to a couple of installers today, and their earliest they can install anything is September, October timeframe.
Wow.
Wow.
And supply chain issue is big time.
Yeah, wow.
Not to mention if you already have one in and it breaks down.
Yep. Yep.
Even a bigger issue. Yeah, it's a huge issue. You're right.
Okay.
I was surprised when I heard that this morning. I mean,
Doug, you want to give an update on your sustainable home now?
yeah. The planning for this has been coming along. We're a little bit behind the others because we're using like the Keynote situation at Harvey Wheeler as a sort of dry run, or not a dry run, but an exercise in using the hall and how best to use it. The question of do we do this on Zoom or not? It's still a lingering question. I think we had talked about doing it as a non-Zoom event, but I think if it was possible without too much difficulty to include it as a Zoom event, if there's two other examples of how it was done fairly successfully and we can get Mark to do it with us, I would be in favor of doing it. And we'll just need a Zoom manager on that date too, like what you had in mind for the Keynote event, Amanda. Is that something that is doable?
Doug, I wonder if we're in the same boat as the previous event. We see how the Keynote goes and then reach out to Minuteman after that.
Yes, I would say that would be the case. But if you're gonna do some immediate things like reserving the room for longer hours or booking Mark, I think that we should at least ask him about, maybe we haven't committed to that last time, but I'd like to suggest that we encourage that we could try to do that.
So we can do that. As we've discussed, effectively the Keynote will be a dry run for all this, a live dry run. However, I will point out that if we cannot, or for whatever reason decide not to videotape that, we can separately offline produce our own recording and just record our presentation.
Well, I think let's see how it goes with this first Keynote, and then we'll be in a position to decide the week after.
Right, right.
Now, one of the things that we were
I was just
working
gonna
on-
say, I think in both cases, Doug, we also need to be clear with Mark how we want it set up. So if it's gonna be the same style of a presentation and then Q&A rather than like the discussion based, if that's the direction we head, that looks a little bit different. And so I think there are a few details that we would need to just relay to Mark that it's the exact same setup as the keynote, or it's a different, and if it is different, how is it different?
I think one thing that between Jerry and I in the next week, we should try to do is to put together a playbook for how it's going to go, much like what Janet did. And I was wondering, Janet, could you send me the playbook that you're working on for the keynote, so we have that set of order of what's happening?
Well, I think Amanda was putting that together. You were making, was it you, Amanda, who was making notes this evening of everything that was happening?
Yeah, it is on the CSEC shared drive. So if you go into the Carrie Emanuel folder, you'll see it in there, Doug.
Okay, that's good to know. I'll use that as a template to start with.
Now, I will mention one thing, since Amanda, you brought up this issue of how it might be different. That's a good point, because the latest thinking that Doug and I were talking about is that after the presentation, we then break out into a small number of groups that are topical in nature. Like might have an EV table, and another one would be a heat pump table, and maybe another one is a solar PV table or everything else table. That way we could engage people to not just ask questions, but maybe help them move forward to making a commitment to take action. So if we did something like that, that's not terribly conducive to recording. But Doug and I are still refining this. But I think the idea, Doug, of drafting a playbook, I think that's a good way of codifying our thinking.
Yeah, I think so too. Then we'll know like how things have to work.
Yeah. Brad?
Just to comment on the idea of making it a virtual event also, or some sort of hybrid. Nobody's signing up for these because they're in person. There's only a couple of registrants for these. So if you decide in a couple of weeks you want to go virtual, you will have missed all of the promotion and nobody will sign up for it. So it might not be worth the additional effort.
Well, that brings me to a question I wanted to know from Hanny, maybe what the registration numbers are looking like at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I put the, Jerry, you want to pull up the shared drive? I put a document there.
Yeah. Yeah, give me a.
Go to the email and then call the link and it will come up, right?
Right.
I can grab it, Jerry.
Okay.
I think I've already got it up.
Okay, if you've already got it up, Amanda, why don't you? Excuse me.
You know, one question that has been, okay, let me just look at this. And I'm probably one of the people that signed up for the sustainable home one.
Yeah, there's really one sign up that I haven't heard of.
We definitely need to publicize this better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's the next topic, is publicity.
I missed your comment, Brad. Did you say people are not signing up because they're in-person events? Is that what you think?
Yes. That's,
Well,
that's what we're learning. Only people that, 18 people signed up for the Emanuel talk. All the other events had very, very few. And they tend to be us and, 2 other people.
Well, how do you come to that conclusion? I mean, there is no place for people to say that, right?
No, I'm surmising it.
Okay.
Would it have, I know a couple of questions that have come to me, to my sense. From the poster, there's no way to tell where the location is. You have to go to the registration site to find out where the event is.
Is that right?
No, it is on the poster.
It's not on the,
It says
it's
on
not
the
on the
event at
flyer.
Harvey Wheeler, it says in the description of the event, it says it right there.
Not on the flyer, though, not on the flyer. That,
Yeah.
I don't know what you're talking about, Doug.
the one that,
Let's pull it up.
the one that that we've done publication around town with and posting, that one, the one that Amanda made copies of, did not have locations on it.
Right. So I don't, personally, I don't think that's inhibiting people. Or if it is, it's not inhibiting many. Because the URL is there, the QR code is there. If they're interested, they'll go click on those links. If they're not interested, whether, you know, whether the location is shown isn't going to make a difference. My 2 cents.
As we get closer to the actual date, and if we find that there's not a lot more sign up going on, is there any way that we could open it up and just say, come even if you're not registered?
Well, we
It's
won't,
already that way.
yeah, we
I'm
don't,
not-
we can't reach out to people we don't know about.
And if a location like the Harvey Wheeler Center is printed, then they can walk in. I mean, without any pre-registration, we can't, you know.
Well, wasn't it true that the Zoom links that we were going to have to send out to people if they were going to join, like, let's say the ones for Carrie and Emanuel, right now there's only 18 people to send that Zoom link to, right?
Right, but hopefully there's a lot more who actually show up in the auditorium.
Right, but they won't know what the Zoom link is unless they're on that list. There's no
Right.
way to get it to.
True, but people in the auditorium won't need the Zoom link, so.
Anyway, okay.
Did you, hey, Brad, did you ever change your, the setup or not yet?
We redeployed the code base, if that's what you mean.
Yeah, and then so you're allowing registration until the event without registration to the Cool of Concord.
Right, we're allowing guests to register,
Yes,
and one did today. I was going to give a quick update on that.
So go ahead, Janet.
Brad sent out, I think it was under the Cooler Concord, I mean the Concord Can banner, if I remember right. You sent something out about all the different events, and that would be a good thing to send out to all your friends and neighbors. Just forward it again as a reminder.
So in the interest of time, because I do want to talk about promotion more, we do have more work to do, Doug and I do, on your sustainable home now. But are there any other questions
Brad,
or comments before we move on?
Jerry, one question that I have is, when we talked last week, you posed the question of other people looking at the content of the presentation. Did you want to distribute a copy of that around?
Yeah, it's not yet in a form ready to distribute, but yes. What Doug is mentioning is we talked about, so he and I are putting together a PowerPoint presentation for your sustainable home now based on the folder. And we'd like to get people's feedback on that. So there's still empty spots in it, but once we finish that, which is maybe in a week or so, we'll send it around and ask for people to look it over and give us comments. Okay. EV event next.
Okay, that's not very fleshed out yet, and I think it can, you know, the more detailed plans can wait till next meeting or the meeting after. But it will be an in-person event only. There will be some cars parked outside of the Harvey Wheeler building. Amanda, I believe, has already reserved some space there. And then there will be some tables, probably inside, where can talk about different things, charging. I mean, there are different levels of charging, how you can find charging places when you're not at home. From maybe 3 tables, maybe 4 tables on different thoughts about, well, what's the practical aspects of having an electric car and charging it. So, but it needs to be fleshed out more, and there's time to think about it still.
Brad?
I just wanted to make a suggestion to Janet on that. Featuring people who have done trips down to New York and just making, or to other places, and just making it clear, this is really easy. You go to this app, you see all this stuff, you can just plan to stop here. You can really make it sound kind of fun. And talk about stuff like that. I just wanted to make that suggestion.
Sure, yes, driving.
Happy to talk to you about it.
Janet is one of those people and wrote a blog about it.
I did.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it might be good to sort of script up a few statements like that to have at the ready, to anticipate questions and make sure we kind of, I don't want to say spin it, but to present it in a way that is more positive. It could be more positively received.
Yeah.
This is maybe a silly idea, but it would be cool if we simulated the event like you were taking a trip to New York, and maybe there could be like a sign that said you're starting in Concord, you've charged up your vehicle, and there could be information there, and then the next one could say such and such Western Mass, and we're charging at whatever station, and there could be more information there, and then you could see like dotted markers to the next one, and now you're in this place in New York at whatever, getting a cup of coffee, and have more information there, and then kind of simulate it as you are taking a trip in a way.
So you're thinking about moving from one place to another within the auditorium.
Yeah, to the different tables that you have set up, but at the same time, you're taking a trip around with your EV.
That's a fun idea.
Yeah, and then we could have food at those tables to emphasize the fact that you'll be stopping anyway for food. Go ahead and gas up the car or charge up the car while you're getting snacks. Yeah, that might be able to work with that.
Yeah, that's a fun idea.
Okay. Anything else on the EV event?
When I was at
Go ahead, Doug.
When I was at the parade this past week, I noticed that they had some EV cars in the parade. And one of the ones that they had was the police car.
That's true.
I thought that was a good representation. Maybe you want to try to get that there.
Ooh. I don't know if the police will be so happy with that.
Well, they did it for the Concord. They did it for the parade.
Yeah, they were there at the parade. They have a Tesla, and don't they have something else as well, Amanda?
Yeah, they also have a Mach-E, so they've got some diversity.
Police has a Mach-E?
Yep.
You're kidding? You're paying for this?
They did get a rebate, if that helps.
That's unbelievable.
I think you should ask the post office for an electric delivery vehicle. See if they
Yes.
have one.
Yes.
Next century, perhaps.
Right. Okay. One last time, anything on any of the events before we move to promotion? Okay, so on promotion, I think maybe we should all just kind of report out where we are and what we think we still need to do, or what opportunities we still have to get the word out. So for myself, I have sent out the for lack of a better term, the media kit email to all the folks I signed up for. I did discover that one of the parties, while they got it, they hadn't opened it. And so they're opening it now, and they claim they're going to send out an email announcing the event. That was a little disappointing to me, but it does emphasize the fact we need to go back and check in with everyone we've touched base with. Maybe checking with phone calls as opposed to emails, because that's how I discovered this. I did get the posters distributed to the sites that I'd signed up for, but admittedly, some of those got out kind of late, which were today. Those were to several of the schools. I wrote up a description of the keynote address with some mention of the overall series and sent it to the Concord Journal. Hanny, I took your advice and tried to get it to him well in advance. Not quite as early as you had suggested. I think you had suggested April 1st. I didn't make that, but I think I got it there April 10th. Hard to know what they're going to do with it. I tried to write
They may
it.
put it in the calendar section. That's about it at that stage, because they have enough space there that they know they'll fill up to the last minutes.
Yeah. Amanda, you had asked earlier today, if I had reached out to them. I don't know, is there anything that Erin can do, or does she have any contacts there? Or?
We can ask her. I just was talking to her about a separate press release, and then sort of the protocol of town departments and committees doing it. And then I was like, oh, we didn't follow that. I think Jerry may have reached out. And so that was sort of why I connected the two. But we could ask her. She may have someone that she regularly works with or has worked with before.
Okay. All right. So why don't we sort of go around the table here and see where we are, how everyone has progressed with stuff. Doug, what have you been able to get out?
Yesterday, I picked up posters and distributed them to the names that my name was under. And I found out that several of the schools, like the Alcott School and the Ripley School, I couldn't do because they're closed this week. So I'll have to do it on Monday. But I did it to the Main Street Cafe, and I did it to the Crosby's Market. And I took it upon myself also to do it to the Emerson Umbrella, which didn't have any listed people under, but we got posters put up, or the 8x10 flyers.
Yeah.
And in all those locations, I got both Laura's new poster on the 30th event itself and the series. And they're side by side to each other. I will say that in some of these locations, like Main Street Cafe, the bulletin board that I put it on in the back was absolutely plastered with things.
Yeah.
So it was a little hard. And in the case of Crosby's, just for example, they said they would be happy to do it, but they had to check with the manager, and I'm guessing that they're up now. But the private schools, I don't have a contact for Middlesex. I am in touch with Don Kingman at CA, who's their green team person. And I have to get back to him one more time as a repeat to see how that's going to come through for them. And I think the Fenn people I sent the media kit to them, to Cameron Cousins over there. And she is preoccupied with a lot of preparation of their own sustainability report that's going on over there. She was not clear that they would be able to put it together by the 30th. And so I just I sent her another email about it yesterday, and we'll have to see what kind of follow-up we get from that. I do think that I'm a little concerned about the amount of communication that's been happening, partly because of the stuff that I had didn't have the locations of where the event was going to actually physically be held. And I also felt that the links, the Zoom links, I'm a little unclear how those Zoom links are going to get sent out to people before next Wednesday. You know, if there's only 18 people, that's not very helpful.
Well, I think that for the promotion, we don't need the Zoom links. We just need people to register. If they
Okay.
register, they'll get an automatic email with the Zoom link. So
When will that Zoom link get sent out? The day before the meeting or the day of the meeting?
I don't know, Brad, what were you thinking in terms of when those would be sent out?
So I think they already got sent out if you registered. And then there was a follow-up email that Hanny was going to send with the email or the Zoom link in it.
Yeah, so it's already happening, Doug. So no need to worry about that.
Let's talk about this, the follow-up emails, right? So try and get that on the table here. So my plan was to basically send an email to all of the people that registered with the reminder of the event and also attaching the Zoom link. Okay. That will have to go out from my personal email, but I'll do a BCC for all of the registration, people registered. This way, they don't have their emails disclosed to everyone else. Okay. I was going to do that. What are we today? When Thursday? So I was going to do that tomorrow. So at least 1 week before, right? Roughly 5 days before. And we'll do that for all the other events, right? But that's at least for the first one, we'll do that now. And I think, Amanda, you had already sent me the link, right? I have that somewhere.
Does that mean that, I mean, just in a hypothetical sense, there's only 18 people for the keynote right now. That means only 18 people are going to get these Zoom links. And those people,
I can't send it to people I don't know, Doug. That's sort of,
I know,
if they come after, we'll figure it out. We'll deal with it.
but if they're registering it, there's probably a fairly good likelihood that they're going to come in person, right?
I don't know. I mean,
So
Doesn't
Doug, I
matter.
think we also have, so the other thing that Hanny was going to put in his follow-up email is a quick survey that says, are you planning to attend in person or Zoom? And that should give us at least some indication of what people are planning to do.
Okay.
And if there is a concern that people are going to say last minute, I want to come to this, we can put the Zoom on the
yeah, I'm thinking about putting it on
website.
the site itself.
It maybe increases our chance of getting Zoom bombed, but like this link is publicly posted every month on the agenda. So
I think
it's the same sort of risk.
I think having the Zoom recording for future too will be a value.
Right. But we had talked about updating the event posting, right, on the website, on the Cooler Concord website, to update where, I mean, at least that was my understanding. We're going to add the Zoom link there.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
That's what we had talked about. Now, if the plans have changed, let me know. I'm either or.
No, so the day of, if somebody needs to find the Zoom link, they can just go to the Cooler Concord site and get it.
That was the thought. Yeah, that was the idea, right?
That's excellent.
Yeah, so I think we've got the bases covered.
The question is, do we wait until the day off or do we do it ahead of time? That's really the question, right?
If you already have the Zoom links, I don't see why you wouldn't put them up there sooner rather than later.
I think the only concern I had or have is with Zoom bombing. And it depends on what our risk tolerance is for that. So Amanda, you've made an interesting point that link is public, has been public for a long time, because it's used in all our agendas.
And I
this-
will say that a Zoom for Carrie Emanuel is different from this Zoom. So don't go to this Zoom link thinking you will get it.
There's a special event Zoom link that's not available publicly right now.
Yeah.
Well, I hope you're.
So
all
I do
coming
think that
close to the
Zoom bombing
Carrie
seems to have
Emanuel.
gone out of fashion.
Maybe what we do is, I don't know, maybe we put it up now.
So let me, Amanda, what is the capacity of the Zoom link that we have? The Zoom account?
That's a good question.
The event last fall, I think we found it was 100 or 150.
Okay, so that's a sort of a webinar style 100 typically. That's their sort of base package. I mean, first of all, Zoom has, has improved dramatically their security. So it's really sort of harder to do Zoom bombing now, much, much harder. You have to be very, very good at it. So it's not trivial. Because each event has its own passcode and everything. So you just can't go with old things and assume that you'll be able to get in. So I personally think that we should post it, sometime over the weekend or maybe Monday, something like that. So give it a few days.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say over the weekend.
Okay, we'll do.
Yeah, I like that too, because then if you're thinking about it, you can go and like, oh yes, there's the Zoom link, and it's comforting to know it's there.
Yeah.
That's true.
Okay, well, let's continue. Michael, you want to give us an update on your outreach?
Sure. Let me first say, was it Haney, was it you that's trying to reach out to Middlesex?
Yeah. Me.
So my
Okay.
wife sits on the Communities Organizing Against Racism committee here in Concord, and one of those committee members lives in the Middlesex community because her husband works there. So if you're having trouble getting through to anyone there, I'd be happy to connect you. And I think she'd be a great contact to help us out if you need it.
Can you email me that contact information?
Yeah, I'll do that. So I have, shortly after the last meeting to send out the notification to all of our contacts. I did that, I think, within 2 or 3 days of that meeting. And I have not done anything since then. So I have not followed up with that email. I'll put that on my list for tomorrow or this weekend. And I still need to put the posters up. So that's
Okay.
on my list for things to do. Is are there still posters at 55 Church Street? If I went over there tonight, would there still be some in there?
Yeah, I think so.
When I was there yesterday, there were about at least 20 there. But one of the things you could do in a jam, Michael, I don't know if this is recommended, but you could go to the website and download the poster. Oh, do you have one copy of it? If you could
Me?
yeah. If you had a way to make your own copies too, you could do it.
Yeah, I mean, I could do that. If there are 20 over there now, I'm working from home, so I could just head over there tomorrow and pick them up.
Okay.
It's supposed to be a nice day. So I will do this within the next 2 days.
Okay. I think the follow-up to the contacts, I would suggest, if you can, try and reach them by phone. I think that, if they have any uncertainties, or if they have the experience like I had where they were busy and they didn't get to it, they saw the tagline, the subject line, they weren't sure what that was, so they skipped it and never got back to it. You don't find that out unless you talk to them. So I would encourage you to call around.
Okay, I will get on that.
Sharon, welcome back. We missed you. I'll follow up with you on some of the details about the event. We can do that tomorrow. Right
Yes,
now,
please.
just want to check with everyone on outreach status. Have you been able to reach out to the folks on your list?
Yep, I did. Yep, I did that. There were a couple that it was like a web form to, put something in a message. And there was one that didn't work, but there was a phone number. So I called that person and got their email address and they updated the list.
Good. And posters, have you had an opportunity to put any up?
I have not put up any posters. Am I expected to? Did I volunteer to do that? And if so, where am I to put them?
Yeah, okay.
Well, I'm out of town this weekend, so I can't do it in the next 5. I can't do it in the
Okay.
next week.
Well, then the important thing is to reach out by phone to the folks that you sent the information about to see if they got it, see if they're, what their plans are to send out an email or a social media posting.
Yeah, I don't think I have phone numbers for the others, but I could take a look. I mean,
Okay.
it wasn't on the list. I mean, I might be able to find a phone number, but I don't think there were phone numbers on the list,
Okay, yeah,
except for the one that I already called.
right. I know some of them had phone numbers, some of them didn't.
They share, so I'll be heading over there to pick up my posters within the next couple of days. Do you want to send me your listing, Sharon, of who you're supposed to hang up posters for? Or Jerry, I think you sent that list out.
Yeah,
If you want to send that to me, I can pick up some of those.
yeah, I'll send it out. It's in a separate file in the outreach folder. And I don't think it's that one, Doug.
The one that says locations for Cooler Concord Sustainability Series flyer.
Well, maybe it is. Yep, there it is. That's the list.
And he should be able to get to that, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, sorry about that. Just did not realize I was on.
Which
tasked
ones are
to do those
slated for Sharon? Do you know? Is
So it looks like
listed?
depot
Oh, there
area.
it is.
Looks like it's
Okay.
mostly the
It's already there.
depot area.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay. Yeah. So I
Thank you,
can,
Michael.
yeah, I'll try to get those this weekend or tomorrow.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Karen, have you been able to contact folks?
I did send out all the email template out to everybody on my list. Nothing bounced back. I did hear back from, I think it was Gaining Ground, saying that they would distribute. I did not hear back from anybody else, so I will follow up with them to just see if anyone has questions or if they're able to help out there. And I'm also delinquent with the posters. Sorry.
Okay. Actually, just occurred to me, I should add, one group that was not on the list was the Thorough, is it called Thorough Farm or Thorough Birthplace?
Thorough Birthplace.
Yeah. So they actually reached out to me wanting, they didn't know about the festival. They just wanted to connect on sustainability, and they were very interested in this. And they, so I had some long conversations with the director there. I'm forgetting her name, but they're going to promote it as well, I think, through email.
Great.
Janet?
I put all the posters out a couple of weeks ago, not all on the same day, but my list is complete. The Umbrella Center for the Arts, I left a couple of posters there. I didn't have very many, but they no longer have a wall where you can post posters. So they said, oh, you can leave them at the entrance, but they got picked up and taken away. So
I reposted those for you yesterday, Janet.
okay.
And they now have a bulletin board.
They do?
Yeah, it's inside.
They didn't a couple of weeks ago.
I talked to the director there.
Okay.
Excellent.
Yeah,
So
I went
actually,
to the office and they said, no, they don't have a poster board. But anyway, I'm glad they've changed.
Who is on tap to send them the email with information?
Me, and I did already. in
Okay,
Late March, but I'll follow up with them again.
yeah, because they were, Brad had organized a meeting of several folks with himself and me, and they were very interested in helping with promotion. So it would be good to just check back with them and see if what they've been able to do.
I think the fact that those 2 posters are on their bulletin board now, at least for this weekend when they're having the event that they're having a lot of people go through there.
Oh, that's right.
That's true. That's
It
good.
should be helpful.
It's good timing.
And they also were enthusiastic about the fact that next weekend is open tables. Well, I mean, open studios for them. So people may very well go back and forth between the library event and their open studios event.
That's great. That is fortuitous.
That's true.
Brad, have you been in touch with any of the folks that you put me in touch with? I think from the previous some other sustainability series that they put together.
I'm not sure what we're talking about exactly. You mean the Climate Solution Speaker Series?
Yeah, yeah.
I haven't been dealing with them directly.
Okay.
I've been sending out newsletters to the Concord Can List and the Cooler Concord email newsletter. And that's gone to a few hundred people each. And I don't know if that's led to some signups or not. Most of you probably have seen that if you're on one of those lists. If you're not so lucky.
Okay, well, I'll reach back out to the folks that you'd put me in touch with. I mean, I'd already sent them the info, but I'll check in with
Right,
them.
worth checking in,
Yeah.
especially the League of Women Voters, and I
Yeah.
know that the First Parish Environmental Team has been promoting it and stuff.
Okay, Hanny, how things gone for you?
I send all the emails to the folks I was assigned to beginning April, all of it.
Mhm.
Then I took a few posters from 55 Church and put one at Starbucks, one at the West Concord Pharmacy, a few other places I can't remember where. There is actually a little poster board by Tea Cakes where I put it there too as well.
Right.
And I had my daughter, who is on the Concord Face Group listing, send out a publication. So this way I don't
Great.
have to deal with Facebook. And there is like 2,500 people on that Facebook group. So it's quite a big number. And I sent to East Quarter Farms. East Quarter Farms is going to be hard because there are a lot of people who dropped out. So I think that list has been sort of depleted. I also put it on Nextdoor. I think you saw that, Jerry, right?
Yeah.
So it's on Nextdoor.
Right, I did.
What else? I think that's it. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think
I updated the sheet there with some additional items I did. That's online.
So I think the main thing at this point is probably to reach out to the folks we contacted by email, just to remind them and to check to see if they saw the original email, and to emphasize that now's the time to get the word out. I don't know if anyone else has any other suggestions on how we improve the coverage here. I'm all ears. Brad?
I would suggest somebody be at the Musketaquid Earth Day event and talk to people directly and hand them a piece of paper and say, especially to get them to carry Emanuel's talk.
Yeah.
There is everybody, all this stuff is noise until someone, and you know, because everybody's so busy and attention spans, but talk to people directly and hand them a flyer.
That's a good idea. So I think that would, you know, individually, if we could, you know, if we're able, each of us are able to attend, if we took, you know, say a handful of the flyers and each of us handed out 4 or 5 of them, that would be a good start here. So I'll certainly sign up to do that.
I'll make an effort to do it too. A question that I'm a little confused about is people have been referring to posters and also to flyers. Are they the same thing? Or are there bigger size posters that are this? Because what I saw at Amanda's place was just flyers, which were 8 by 10 in size.
So I view them as the same thing.
Yeah,
An
okay.
8 by 10 poster, Douglas.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
There is one exception, and that is what's on the A-frames. You know, I'm not sure, I usually call that a poster that's bigger, but other than that, everything's 8 by 10.
Amanda, did you have any of those larger posters?
No, I don't have any larger ones, but I was actually going to say, do you want smaller ones? Like if you're handing something out to people, do you want something that they can stick in their pocket? Like, you can let me know. I guess you would need them by Saturday. And
Is Musketequid Saturday or Sunday? I think it's
Saturday.
It's
Saturday.
Sunday, but I don't know.
Hold
Like
on.
a postcard
I have a
size.
card with it. Just a second.
So I think it would be handy to have something smaller than an 8 by 10, although we could fold the 8 by 10s over. Oh, you've got what's the date there, Doug?
So the Earth Day celebration is April 23rd, and that's where they do the river thing.
That's
starts at-
Saturday.
Starts at 10 and it goes, and then that's when they do the floats. Then they have the river ceremony at 11, and 11:30 to 11:45 is the procession to the old manse. And then at 12 to 3, there's performances and activities at the old manse, I think.
So if we're going to do this, I think whatever we're going to hand out has to be ready to go tomorrow. So that probably means it's just these 8 by 10s.
That's fine.
Unless you have some other idea, Amanda.
no, I actually wasn't planning to be in the office tomorrow, so I would need to know if I need to go in.
I think we can just hand out those.
I think we need a few more posters. There's only about 20 there. We're going to need some more.
I can print at least 20 myself if I need to.
Yeah, I think we should each just print our own on
Yeah,
this,
I guess I could do that as long as it's not raining.
right?
Why the printer doesn't work when it rains?
No, but the ink runs. I forget
Yeah.
when.
Oh,
Yeah, the inkjet prints smudge it very easily. Okay,
well, the option, maybe one option is to go to Staples. They have good printers there.
yep.
You can put it on a flash card, and they can even put it on a probably carton board paper as opposed to just printer paper.
So I'm just looking at the forecast. Saturday looks to be a gorgeous day. So I don't think we need to worry about rain.
Good.
Okay. Is there anything else anyone wants to discuss about anything? Brad.
I wanted to just say a minute or two on on the Cooler Concord site and how it relates to what we're doing at the festival, and solicit people's help if they can. And I prepared something. I should have sent it to the committee before, but I just wrote it up this afternoon. I could share it for just a moment and talk for just a minute about it if you like.
Yeah, I'm okay with
with
that if you make it quick, because we're
I'll try
already.
to make it
I
quick.
need to drop off. I have a call with somebody in California, so I need
Okay.
to do that.
Okay,
Sorry.
Okay, I'll try to keep it to 1 to 2 minutes.
okay, go for it.
So this is so the at the climate festival, we're going to try to get a lot of users to use the Cooler Concord website to record actions and make a game out of it. And it's called Become a Climate Superhero. And some people gave me some feedback on what I sent around. I've made 3 slides which we'll use as graphics, and a short guide for volunteers who can help users. So one of the things we've done, so that describes what's at the top. One of the things we've done is we've made it so guest users don't have to make a whole platform, a whole profile to sign in. This is the first time we've had in-person events in 2 years, so this is kind of exciting for us. And in preparation, I've made a bunch of changes to the site I wanted to run by you, and also solicit anybody who would have time to review a couple of things. I took the liberty of updating the homepage and the goals for the Cooler Concord site, our story page, and I added a bunch of actions. And I've taken a look through, but some of them there's like 20 actions now that people can do. And the ones that are in bold here could use a bit of review. Make sure the information is up to date. This is a good thing that if people wanted to help out with in the next week to do a couple of these, that would be fantastic. Otherwise, I'm going to try to get to them. But I wanted to make it have enough action so people can, it kind of is a nice game for people to do. And I would love it if anybody on the committee wanted to try this at home with their phone or their laptop, make a profile, see if you can follow the instructions and whether it all makes sense, and any feedback on that process would be great. And if anybody can leave a testimonial, would also be great. I just wanted to, if anybody wants to be at the climate festival and wasn't sure what they want to do, I would love to enlist you to help with this kind of superhero game. That's all I want to say. I'll send you all this file in case that's useful.
Okay.
Thanks
Thanks
you
for
the chance.
Thanks for that, Brad, and thanks also for everything you're doing with the Climate Festival. I know this is an outgrowth of what you had started some time ago.
It's fun.
So there is one more item on the agenda, but I'm going to skip it. That was this special CSEC meeting next Thursday. I talked about that earlier. I will send out information, more information about it before the meeting. But I think the important thing to note simply is that we have one more meeting previously unscheduled next Thursday, 7:30. The sole topic, at least at this point in time, sole topic is going to be the Alcott boiler, understanding what that's all about, and possibly considering a vote on a possible amendment. Okay.
Carrie, I know
Yeah.
we're trying to wrap up. I just wanted to say that the A-frames are out. I'm going to send a newsletter tomorrow that does have images that have the dates and the times and the locations, in case that was a concern, that having them all in one piece was, not distinguishing them enough. And so that already set up to send out tomorrow for Earth Day.
Great.
So if you need like a follow-up email, an excuse to email someone that you had already reached out to, you could forward that and say, hey, here's some information about the events, if you wanted to forward it on to anyone. And then I will say that there's also social media posts that are up. So if you're a social media person, easy way would be to go to the Town of Concord sustainability page and then just share one of the posts that I've already created, or find someone else that has done it. So I wanted to just say that we did get a post by Representative Tammy Govia. So that's kind of exciting. It was right when I emailed her, so that was back in March. But if we, someone retweeted it or reposted it on Facebook, then I guess I haven't checked Twitter, but it is on Facebook. So if you're a user on that, you could share her post. So at any rate, 2 other avenues if you're an online person.
Great. Thanks for that update, Amanda, and thanks particularly for getting the A-frames out. Okay. Any last items before we adjourn?
I don't think we have a quorum any longer, so we should adjourn.
1, 2, you're right. We no longer have a quorum. Okay, we are adjourned then. So one last comment. I just want to thank everyone for everything that they are doing for this sustainability series. There's a lot left to do, but there's already a lot under the bridge. And next week it gets real exciting. So thank you all. I'll be in touch and I'll see you at the keynote.
All right.
Good night.
Good night.
Everybody.